Good evening, everyone. We're calling the meeting to order at 7 o'clock tonight, a meeting of the Bay-Westfield Council for September 22nd. We respectfully acknowledge that Bay-Westfield exists on the traditional Wolastoqey land. The lands of the Wabanaki people are recognized in a series of peace and friendship treaties to establish an ongoing relationship of peace, friendship, and mutual respect between equal nations. The river that runs by our town is known as Wolastoq, along which live Wolastoqey, the people of the beautiful and bountiful river. We, the staff and elected representatives, pay respect to the elders past and present and descendants of this land. So thanks to everybody who's here and who's watching. Sadly, Mayor Merrifield can't be here this evening, so you're stuck with me again tonight. But as for record of attendance, I want to say that we have all of our councillors in attendance, so thank you all very much for being here. And I can move on to item 5 on the agenda, which is agenda approval. And the motion is that the Council of the Town of Bay-Westfield approve the agenda of September 22nd as presented. Councillor Murphy and second by Councillor Jones. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. And next we have disclosure of conflict of interest. Are there any? No. There being none, we can move on to our public hearings, presentations, delegations, and petitions. And tonight we are very pleased to have our RCMP quarterly report being presented by Sergeant Brandon Conley. So, Ben, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. Come way over here now. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm actually just going to hand my phone around. It's government property, so be careful. But it's going to give you just a little view of our new, one of our new tools that we have wearing on us all the time. It's our body-worn camera. So it just a little bit there can maybe show the angles of how much you can see. I think it's around 120 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's 120 degrees is what they told me. Sometimes I don't listen as good in class as I should. But then you can also see that limitation sometimes you have your hands up and stuff. So yeah, feel free to go around the back.
So you can't stand like this.
Yeah, you gotta be careful not to stand like that because you don't see anything. And then my seatbelt seems to get it too, but usually not a lot going on in the inside of my car. So. Nothing much more exciting than the live GoPro from showing you this, but it is something that a new tool that we had, and we did communicate with the first responders in the area, the schools in the area, and just let them know. Even when you were seeing that live, it actually wasn't recording, because if it's green here, it's not recording, but there is a back loop of about 30 seconds. So if something did happen, I can turn it on and then it'll go back, not audio, but video only. So, that was Service Commission. Quick demonstration I want to show you. So with school back up and running, you might have saw our police officers back in the school zones, and both active there and trying to both slow down drivers and encourage them to be safe. We've already participated in 2 lockdown procedures in 2 of the schools. We've been in every school at least once, and we're already setting up Halloween safety presentations for October. So we're starting to have kids call us by name, and people seem to be happy to see us. So we get swarmed at a couple of schools for questions and high fives and whatnot. So we're happy it's that way, not the other way. So I was going to address one thing that was quick hit the public Facebook there this last quarter, and it was a near miss at one of the crosswalks. And thanks to the community, we just have to report back that the driver was identified within a few hours and dealt with appropriately. So actually just Friday, maybe some of you participated, but we hosted first annual. I always think it's weird when we say first annual, but our first golf tournament. It was helping cops help kids, and for that I just want to report back that they raised $6,300 for that actually, so we're just over that. So should help some kids in the area get involved in sports. Also share a substantial increase in traffic enforcement has continued. We're at the point where there's actually some people are coming to us saying too many check stops, or they see us too much. But then we still have the same, on the other hand, we still have people saying we still don't see you anywhere. So it's public perception is not always a great measure of how much we are out there, but I'm sure we're out there and trying to balance safety priorities and community expectations all at the same time. So our check stops year to date are up from 30 to 37. Impaireds are up from 8 to 12, so I think the new law is helping there as well, that we can do impaireds a lot faster roadside. 65% increase in tickets this year, 139% increase in warnings, and then 560% increase. That seems like a big number, but put it up to 5 to 33 in compliance orders. So that's when we see an unsafe vehicle, ordering them off the road or to report. So since the last time I saw you, we're happy to partner with the town and the fire department especially on fire safety during our wickedly dry spell. And as much as we're not the ones putting out the fires, or maybe not the primary stakeholders, hopefully we were helpful meeting with industry on ways to maybe reduce fire sales or fireworks sales for that period. And also patrolling to see if anybody's not adhering with the complaints or sort of with the regulations or responding to complaints, but we're actually quite rare. It's good to report that Grand Bay was very receptive to what needed to be done. Resource levels at our detachment have remained consistent. We did lose Constable Remy LeBlanc. He went out to St. George or St. Stephen, but happy to say he promoted, so it was good for him. A huge loss for us, a good police officer, but we have backfilled his position already, and once that member's up and running, we'll be excited to bring him by and to announce who he is. So, I started with a few informal updates before we went to the quarterly report this time, just to change it up. But if I could take you to page 3 of the quarterly report. I just noticed one error there with curfew checks. It said we did 1 in the quarter, and that's false. We did a lot more than that. So sorry for that error. And if it caused any confusion, be confident that we're much more engaged in keeping our offenders that are here on probation or other orders in check. So page 14 is another one of interest. I always like to go to is the average wait times on the emergency line. Once again, they say we're consistent around that 216. It's supposed to be the best quarter ever. I still hear back some people about some horror stories of wait times, and I have to trust that on average at least they're going down. We wish there was no wait time ever, but on average they are going down, and we just ask people for their patience in those weird busy times that we have. And a reminder, crime in progress, you need help, anything like that, please call 911. The non-emergency line's not the place for you. So, page 15, we notice that quarter to quarter from the year before, the crimes against persons are down a little bit, but I also take caution a bit when looking at this page, just because the numbers are often so small that a big influx of 100, as you can see for the Cannabis Act, went from no Cannabis Act files to 1, and now we have a 100% increase. So, in all honesty, most things are staying consistent. We did meet with Councillor Bellman and our Honourable Mayor there with the Justice Minister, and we are told that crime trends provincially have been going up consistently, but that's a bigger story for a bigger day, I guess. Hopefully we can do something about that. So. Deputy Mayor, I think that was my spiel. Do you have any questions, or you are able to open the floor for questions?
Thank you, Senator. Anybody have any questions for Councillor?
Recently, we had you, not you directly, but your team was commented on Facebook. And I'm very upset to see that, because how can I put it, anytime I've required service and I didn't call as Councillor Day, I called as a member of this community, I've had incredible response, and I've seen what you are doing here at the table. So my question to you, there was a comment that the person had called 911, but they never heard from you. So I'd like to know your side of the story, of what you can tell us. I'm not asking for gory details. I just want to know, number one, did you respond? Because I don't want the community thinking that you're not responding, when in fact you may be.
Well, that's a little bit of a tricky question, but an important one at the same time. I was alerted that first thing in the morning. I was actually on a day off, but I immediately came to be on a day on to make sure that was addressed properly. Now, the complaint came in anonymously, so I can't even link that up to a specific occurrence for sure. But what I believe that person may or may not have been talking about was a situation that I looked into. The officer responded accordingly, quickly as possible, and on the way was called up by a different emergency service who dealt with it as a medical emergency. No one was ever in grave danger, nor did I find any fault in our members, and I believe they did a great job. That's where I'll leave that. I can empathize, though, that living in a rural community comes with some risks, less in Grand Bay than further rural places. In the grand scheme of things, if we're on a call at the other side of our jurisdiction, it is going to take time to get there. We'll come as fast as we can and prioritize our calls, but if we're in Musquash or we're on the peninsula, it will take time, unfortunately. And I say that's living in a rural area, but don't want to be, that can also happen in the cities too. If the priority calls are on the other side of the city, or the police force is dealing with a huge major incident and something comes in on the other side. It's not unique to us, but as much as I'd love to have a police on every corner, I don't. But if I can link up that one, I believe that it was dealt with properly, and would be very happy to talk to that anonymous complaint if they wanted to come to the office and have coffee and discuss it.
Okay.
Very happy to.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for Sergeant Cumberland?
No question. And you're got a lot of area to cover, so 20 minutes or half hour is, you're out of the area, it's hard to fight back, and you hit another emergency, like you said, it's a hard job for you guys to do, so you're doing a good job, so.
Thank you, Vanessa.
I just have one quick question. I've been asked by a couple people in town. I know that the St. John Police has put on, not a blitz, but kind of an enforcement focus on all-terrain vehicles and dirt bikes on roads. Is there anything going on here, or ways to do at the same time?
Yeah, something. I'll hopefully fill you next quarter, but we are working on an operations plan for that right as we speak. So
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
If there's no other questions, the motion that I have is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield receive and file the information as presented. Second by Councilman Kaufman. And all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, that's great. Thank you so much. Always
Thank you.
enjoy hearing from you.
Thank you.
So we're looking at our second presentation, and it's the Penny Regional Service Commission budget presentation, and we have the CEO of Bill Willett here. Bill, this is yours.
It's changed sides.
Yeah, we decided to make it.
It's nice on this side as well. Great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate to be here. This is a great opportunity to connect with councils, share details of the 2026 FRC budget. Ultimately, what we're looking for feedback as well as questions that you might have. Some slides I'll go a little faster, some I'll go a little slower. Ultimately, this year it's a little unique because this year we passed a 2026 work plan. We tried to do this in advance. In the past, we would usually adopt our work plans at the start of the year. But you can imagine this is great. If you adopt it before the budget, well then, what you want to do is what's informing the budget, not the budget informing what you want to do. So we did that. We got the work plan adopted, and that was actually informed by an update to our regional strategy. So what that all means to you, outside of some governance stuff, is that what we're doing in 2026 should be freshly relevant to the region, to our committees, to our mandates, because we consulted with our committees. We got our boards involved. It really started in the regional summit that happened last year, and it really is culminated to this. I'm not going to go through all these. This is the vision of the FRC. Happy to ask to respond to any questions related to it. We do have 8 mandates. Happy to go through them with you as well. We do have annual report and financial statements. They are available in the QR codes. They're also available on our website. Happy to discuss these a little further with you if you'd like. We're on 2024, of course. We also have a newsletter. I believe many of you have already signed up, but it's an excellent opportunity for us to connect with the councils. It's always been a little bit of a gap. We, fortunately or unfortunately, pester your mayor, Brittany Bay-Westfield, pretty regularly in terms of meetings and information and committees, and she's great, but we also want to make sure that we build a connection with each council as well. So this is one way of doing that. It's not the only way, but to make sure that you're aware of where we're heading, what's happening, among others. We have, this slide just talks about what we've done in 2025 so far. What are the major moves in 2025? I'm not going to go through this at length. Your town manager did share with me that he wanted me to cover a little bit more on 2026, so I'm going to give you a little update on 2026 work plan. But for this, one of the big things that I wanted to share with you is that we're kind of wrapping up a lot of these reviews, analysis of these newer mandates. That's kind of the newest thing that's happened in 2025. We're moving towards actioning those as we speak. We have a regional transportation pilot program. It's the first time that we've done a pilot project charter for the entire region, which maps out a plan for us to essentially introduce a longer term transportation solution from across the region. And very exciting. Will obviously require a lot of work, but we've actually mapped it out, approved it, and now we've got to seek the funding and then fine tune it. Those are probably some of the biggest items that I'd cover here. Happy to talk to you at length about this, but I did want to touch on 2026, because I did tell town manager Ms. Wynn that I do this. A couple of the things in 2026 that we are planning to do. One is to actually provide services and support to local governments and community partners on accessing more funding around the social mandate, homelessness, poverty. We're finding that a lot of communities are interested, but they're not accessing the funding to do it. So we're trying to build those connections. So we'll be working with local governments across the region to try to access those funds, startup funds, analysis, as well as the partners within the community. We'll continue to support the broader social mandate across the region, most notably in St. John for the Housing for All strategy, and the challenges and opportunities that they face in the future, which will also help the rest of the region. We also are intending to deliver an education and awareness campaign on train safety and train education, all the rail activity that's happening in the region. It is something that unites us all as a region, because those are also through all our communities, and we want to make sure that everybody's aware of what's new, what's happening, what are the timings, what's the shifts that have to happen, both from a public safety standpoint as well as for general information for the public. We also are seeking to at the solid waste at Crane Mountain. One of the big things that happened this year is our surge pond for leachate can accumulate, and then we have to truck them out to the west side. And this year, the west side treatment plant was temporarily closed. It caused quite a bit of grief, because that means we have to cross the bridge. And the east side one was closed in St. John. That's where we bring our leachate. So we're actually delivering it to multiple spots in the vicinity. But it's really because that retention pond wasn't necessarily large enough. And it's a risk. We've never had something that would require us to take dramatic action, but next year we're starting our process of relocating that surge pond and having a more reliable source for those. These are for these large rain situations where you have like 2 days of nonstop rain. You'll see our leachate trucks going. What helped us this year, of course, was the dry weather. If there's one good news about that, is that the leachate did not accumulate in that time. In addition, we are going to be rolling out an ambassador program for waste reduction across the region. Continue to pursue the Canada Games Aquatic Centre project and seeking that federal and provincial funding, and seeking alternatives to financing regional facilities capital. So those are the big ones. Happy to kind of touch those more, but again, I wanted to make that commitment to your town manager. Let's keep going here. Okay, so the budget. First, our budget is directed and guided by the regional strategy, but also the priority focuses of the board. We establish this each year. That's really what guides us. I also share this. It's important to share that a lot of our budget is tied to three primary sources. About 91% of our budget is solid waste, regional facilities, and Envision St. John and regional economic development. Most of those have been around in one form or another for a while, although some have expanded, of course, with regional facilities. Capital is now included. This year's budget is a reduction. We're proposing a reduction in net fees on members. You'll see that some members have an increase and some have a decrease. I'll explain that in a little bit. But this was primarily guided by each local government. We knew that the impact of the property tax assessment freeze was going to have an impact on each local government. We're in an uncertain economic or fiscal situation or scenario. So we wanted to make sure our budget does not provide additional challenges on our local government partners. So we sought to bring that down to a reduction of $78,000. One of the reasons that reduction is there is that we are scheduled to have the largest influx of provincial and federal funding in our budget next year. So we continue to increase that amount year over year, and that certainly decreases our reliance on the subsidy being provided by our members. Solid waste. We started this trend back in 2024, which was to increase the tipping fee by approximately inflation, about a 3% increase. That remains the case in 2026 for the proposed 2026 rates, moving from 139 to 143. You'll also note that our organics continue to be lower than the solid waste, and that will continue to be the case. We always want to make sure that there's a cheaper rate on that. For the town of Bay-Westfield, the per bag cost, we did an assessment earlier this year and indicated that the cost per bag was accurate for the cost of delivering the service. So I suspect you would get some questions on that, whether there's a fluctuation, but at this time that is an accurate cost. And some still give us comments about just the loony days, but now it's a loony in 2 quarters. On the capital front, on the regional solid waste side, we are about $544,000 less in borrowing, long-term borrowing next year, primarily related to that surge pond relocation, among others. And you can also see that we put capital into operating, which is a good practice for those recurring maintenance-based capital expenditures. Regional facilities continues to be the most discussed, contentious, if you may, discussion point, not necessarily because of the facilities, but because of the mandate that we have to finance the capital costs. Next year, we are projected to reduce the operating and the capital costs for regional facilities. However, this continues to be a major discussion amongst the board, how we're going to navigate this. Several members are looking for a change on how we finance that. This is going to be one that I suspect we'll continue to have discussions until the adoption of the budget. For next year's budget, the Aquatic Center Enhancement Project is the construction side of it is going to be started. However, it only will be started with the confirmation of 73.3% funding from federal and provincial governments. We do not have that right now. So the easiest way to say is, if we don't get those funds within 6 months, the project won't proceed. Like there's zero appetite for the region to cover what should be a federal provincial expenditure on an asset that is a provincial asset and federal asset for the Canada Games. So the regional community has said, we'll support it at this amount, but you've got to come to the table. Another reason that we would back out of this project is if the costs escalated higher through our estimates. So at this stage, it's projected to be about a $25 million project. If that goes any further, I suspect there'll be very little appetite to proceed with the project. Economic development and tourism promotion. So earlier in the presentation, I shared that our membership fees were decreasing, but some individual members were increasing and some were decreasing. And the primary reason for that is that the formula we're using to distribute the costs for regional economic development and tourism has changed. In the past, it was a fixed amount defined by a contract, and now we're just dividing it by the proportional share of tax base. So that's the legislation that requires us to do it in that way. So you'll see that impacts some members a little bit more than others, depending on the level of proportionality they had to tax base. Not much more that I'd share in this slide on our plans for 2026 and what the 2026 budget indicates. One positive financial or budgeting scenario that we have is that we actually have $436,000 left of a subsidy with the provincial government through this regional services support fund that has been unused, and it's one-time in use. So we do not intend to use those funds in 2026, instead saving it for when we know the capital costs for regional facilities are expected to increase. Those will increase in the coming years, and we want to make sure that we're prepared for that. So that's a positive financial scenario, that we still have that option. The other one that I would identify is that we are looking to introduce an enhancement of project implementation. That's something that we've heard through members as well as the committees, that there should be some funds to animate how we implement our regional work plan in each local government. So, it might be hard to explain what regional transportation is to your community, but give a demonstration project, show them what it's like at the community level. So we're going to try to animate that this coming year through our efforts, and there's a little bit of a fund established for that. One of the things that might be a little what's the word I was going to say, nerdy, but I'm pretty excited about it, is it's called a service-based budget. So part of the package that you received is that when you look at a budget, you tend to look at it and it's a budget line, right? It says like office number, department number. And then you're left with, what does that give me? What we've trying to do is, and as we get better at trying to explain our mandates, is we want to put it all in one sheet. We want you to understand where it fits. So we've done this for, there's 16 pages related to this. And it has the vision and the goals established by the strategy. It has our work plan projects. It has the service standards. It has the net costs for each mandate, the total percentage of that department from the share of the rest of the budget, the number of full-time equivalent employees working in that area. So it's a kind of a one-stop shop. You can take a look at it, you have a pretty good idea. You'd also see what share that is of the electric department. On the other side of the page, we have, where does this mandate come from? Some, they're still at their infancy. We're like in year 3 of trying to figure out what these mandates are. Some have been around since the 90s. Some have been around since the early 2000s. So their maturity as a mandate differ as well, where they come from. And we've also shared the key milestones that we've achieved over the years. So I think it's kind of a cheat sheet, if you look at it that way. If a citizen were to ask, what's this all about? Let's say, go to this, let's review it. I've used it in council presentations as well, and say, let's go through it together, let's see what it's done. It also tells the story of how we've got to where we are today, and gives you a pretty good idea of where we're going in the future. We are in the middle of our 45-day review period. We are taking notes. We will give an update to the board on October 2nd at their board meeting. And then on October 23rd, we're scheduled to have a vote on the budget. And yeah, that's where we are today. We do have a regional summit planned this year. It is going to be on the 20th of November from 3 to 8. For those who have participated last year, similar concept, similar locations, the Trade and Convention Center. We used a new time. Last year it was kind of lunchtime to late, and we surveyed the membership, and we found that maybe a little bit later in the day into the evening would be best. We'll try it out. I'm sure we'll get some feedback that for some that wasn't great, but we'll see if this one fits a little bit better. And so far we've got some good response on folks looking to participate. So with that, I'm here to hear your feedback and respond to any questions that I might be able to respond to. Thank you.
Thanks, Samantha. Any questions for Councilor?
It's not a question so much as a statement. It's not very often on council we've ever seen a reduction. So thank you.
Any other questions? No, so thanks, and I really like those cheat sheets. I thought that was, even for us, kind of getting an idea of what the FRSC does. It's nice to have kind of a one page or front view for each section, which is great.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think this is the first year we do it, so we're still trying to find out what else we need to adapt for it. So I've gone to some council and said, I'd like to know the full departmental number. I said, we'll throw it on. You know?
Yeah.
And I think in the future, another thing, just to share where my mind's going, is we could also provide it per member. So right now, we just provide you the net cost for each department, but I could customize it and say, for Grand Bay-Westfield, you are paying this amount for this service. Some regional services commissions have gone as far as to say per resident. So they go down and say, okay, so we're talking about 5 cents a resident, or whatever it might be. I think that may be too deep of a dive. I want to keep it pretty high level for now, but ultimately making sure that you're aware of what we're doing, where we're heading, equipping you to make sure that you're able to respond to it if citizens ask questions, but also to make connections related to the work that you do here in Grand Bay-Westfield, where you see the connections with the regional based work.
Thank you. No more questions? Thanks a lot, Phil. The motion on the table is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the information as presented. Councilor Murphy, second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. So move on to the agenda. Actually, we're on to item 8, minutes of previous meetings. There's 2. We want a separate motion for each. So minutes of previous meetings. The first one is regular council meeting minutes of September 8th. Motions of the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of September 8th, 2025 as presented.
So moved.
Councilor Griffin, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried, thank you. And the next is the special meeting minutes from September 15th. So the motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield adopt the minutes of the special meeting of September 15th, 2025 as presented. Councilor Thomas, thank you. Councilor Mark Perfect, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, motion is carried. So 9, unfinished business, there being none, and 10, bylaws, there being none. We can move on to item 11, which is new business and recommendations, and we have 2 on the list. So the first is the Williston Drive asphalt tender award, so I'll ask the deputy city to fill in a bit on this one.
Yes, thank you. I will turn it over to the work superintendent to describe the work, but just from a financial perspective for council, as you may remember last year, the pricing came in significantly higher than what was money that was available to do the work. So the decision at that time was made to put that money into reserves and bring it back for this year. As a work superintendent, we'll be able to explain it. Things worked out a little bit better this year, so that is a win. So turn it over to Mr. Crabbe.
Thank you. As our deputy CEO mentioned, every year we do put together a asphalt resurfacing tender. Last year, the tender package came in over budget and we were able to do the work. So that money was allocated for this year. This year, we worked with our consultant to get a general idea or general price per meter to get a kind of scope of work for what we could do. So the tender package was created and went out to tender. Part of that process is we have mandatory site visits. So that's a time when I think the contractors can come to town, have a look at the work area, ask questions, or provide feedback. So this year, 2 contractors came. We had some good discussions. They provided a lot of feedback on areas where the town could improve their tendering process, or I guess the way the tender is structured. So like, we took that information, restructured the tender while still maintaining our overall goal. And when that tender came back, it came in well under budget. So we were able to extend that zone slightly by 75 meters. The idea is we'd like to asphalt resurface a section between June Avenue and Valley.
So I'll leave the motion, then we can open it for questions. So the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield authorize the CAO to enter into a contract with Galbraith Construction Limited to mill and asphalt Woolstock Drive from Civic 117 to Civic 214 to a total not to exceed $185,500, including HST. I have a motion. Councilor Allen, second. Councilor McIntosh. And any questions on the motion?
I think that's a good news story. So thank you very much for taking what they told you and putting it in place. Thank you.
Just, do we know when it's happening?
Rough estimate would be next month. So we still have to provide the purchase order and then we'll work with communications department.
Any other questions? So, motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried, so thank you, thank you all, that is a good news, it'll be a well appreciated update.
Yeah.
So we can move on to now item 11B. And it is the 2028 to 2030 Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership Program. The CAO, there's been an update on this one too.
Thank you. So once again, I will turn this over to the work superintendent. I did want to make a comment though on the report. Done a great job of including all of the data, and the information that really lays out exactly how streets are chosen and why they're chosen. I think it makes your decision a lot easier, hopefully. If not, let us know. But yeah, so this is kind of a bring back of a previous plan and an update to a previous plan based, for the most part, to better align with our future budgets. As the CFO and the CAO have mentioned many times, the 5-year forecast for our budgeting can provide a lot of benefits, and this is one of those areas where when the CFO looked out 5 years and then took what this plan, how it would impact that, we were able to realize that they weren't going to align very well. So the work superintendent was able to go back and rework this, and I'll let him explain much better than I can.
Yeah, thank you. So DTI requested a 3-year, or an updated 3-year plan for the PMHP program. So the data was collected, we used our road AI, so it's our road surface analysis software. The information was collected, was processed, which gave us a score throughout Route 177. So this data was taken and broken down even further in intervals or sections. So as our deputy CEO mentioned, there was 3 projects that were kind of earmarked, determined for 28, 29, 30. Based off of some projections for 2028, financial projections, we realized that the scope of work has to be reduced for 28. So this is where the originally proposed, it was 2030 project, is moved to 2028. Because you're able to complete that entire project within what our CFO has projected would work. And then for projects 29 and 2030, although those sections of the NARPIS or Route 177 received a lower score overall, they'll benefit from a larger project. Whereas if you were to take that scope of work and apply it to 28, you're replacing roadway that has an accident. So, and this is, we submit this list to the province and it's pending their approval.
Thank you. So I'll read the motion and I'll open it up to questions. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield approves the application request to DTI for the following updated 3-year road ahead capital improvement projects. First, 2028, River Valley Drive, asphalt resurfacing 1.1 kilometers. Next, 2029, Maricus Road, asphalt resurfacing 2.6 kilometers. And then 2030, Maricus Road, asphalt resurfacing 2.6 kilometers. Do I have a motion? Councilor Burke, second. Councilor Malcolm. And I'll open up the questions first before we go. Any questions for our work superintendent for WBCA?
Questions possibly and some comments, Your Worship. Over the last number of months, it's become apparent that our residents and even some of ourselves are not fully familiar with the details of that very complex animal called the Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership Program. It's extremely confusing. In short, my understanding is that there's a provincial road going through a municipality, and the province believes that due to economies of scale and efficiencies that the municipality can coordinate with its regular snow plowing and maintenance and that it would be better for the municipality to, under contract from the province, to manage the maintenance of that road. And that includes a capital plan, which is what we are submitting tonight. It's very confusing, but the long and short of it is the province does pay 80% of the overall capital improvement cost and the municipality 20%. And the province does advise the municipality how much money is available for the next 3-year period or 5-year period, and it's up to the town and us to decide based on the data that we have available, best data at that time, to project where the capital improvements should be occurring. Case in point, who could have predicted 4 years ago at the southern end of River Valley Drive by the Sobeys entranceway and through the business area of town would have had so much deterioration? I'm not an expert at road traffic, I'm not an engineer, but we have had significant growth in the town over the last 4 years, growth a little bit in population, but significantly in construction. So economic development and growth as a two-edged sword. We certainly see the negative effect it's had on River Valley Drive, the southern end. So what our council tonight is being asked to do is, based on the knowledge, the best knowledge that we have now from our staff, we've gotten that from technical assessments and other engineering reports, we are being asked to project where the next council should be spending its capital money in 2028, 29, and 30. I am fully prepared to support the recommendation that staff and administration have recommended. And I'd like to thank staff for listening to council's concerns. We've heard it from our residents in the parking lots at Tim's, on Facebook, on emails to the town. Fix the bad condition of River Valley Drive. Unfortunately, that capital work slated for 2028 is about $1 million worth. The province paying $800,000 will not be done until 2028. So sometime or somehow over the next 2.5 years, our staff, with the equipment that we've provided, the milling equipment, are going to have to do their best job possible to keep that portion and other portions of River Valley Drive. And I have full confidence that they will. The other portion for 2029 and 30 is about $4 million, $5 million in cost, with the province paying approximately $4 million. And that's the northern end of town. And based on the technical assessments that this report that was given to us, I fully support that. There's major infrastructure underneath the roadway that we can't see. The surface may look okay. I'm sure that road doesn't get nearly the amount of traffic that the southern part of River Valley Drive does by the business district, but I have full confidence in the recommendation of staff, so I will be fully supporting this recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments or questions?
I think that my suggestion would be, sorry, I didn't raise my hand. In the past, we've done council, under the leadership of the mayor, did a lot of lobbying in Fredericton for the decision makers to understand the need and why we had to have these roads looked at. As well as we put curb and gutter and sidewalks in so that at the time of some of this road work, we made it better for our community as well. So my encouragement to the new council is to lobby Fredericton. And I know at times we showed up with the MLA, engineers, town staff, council. So it wasn't just one person going to meet with them, it was a whole crew of people to talk about the impact of these roads to our citizens. And the fact that we are the only town in the province with the number of roads and kilometers that we have. And I'd really encourage them to consider doing that the next time around. Because it was, how can I put it? We had quite a lot of money come in over the years. In fact, so at certain conferences, we would be hit with the fact is, why does Grand Bay always get money? Well, when you have the most number of kilometers going through your community, yes, we should.
Thank you, Councillor.
You guys are gonna miss my history, aren't you?
We'll still do that. I just wanted to mention, I had one quick comment, I really like how this, the engineering aspect and the technical aspect fit in with the financial 5-year forecast. I think that's showing, this is a good example of how those all work together. We actually have the full picture to make these decisions, so thanks staff for that. So there's no other questions, I can go for a vote.
I just want to make one quick comment just to build on Councillor Day's comment about advocacy. And just that general reminder that this council approving this evening doesn't change that need for the advocacy. Because of course this is just an application. This is just us saying what we would like to do. So we still need to push the province and help them to understand that although we're asking, it is something that does need to be done, and this funding is critically important to the infrastructure of not just our community, but communities across the province.
If they don't hear from us, they won't put the seriousness of what we're asking for as a high priority. I'll come back and haunt them, I don't mind, because the thing is that we received a lot of money over those years. And all those sidewalks in our community, and I know people have talked about sidewalks at the northern end of the community being needed. So, I mean, if we can match it up and get the money, and I agree with Jim, southern part of River Valley Drive is disgusting. But you can't have those trucks doing the work and developing our community without the roads having an impact. And when we did Inglewood was $1 million plus. And look at Inglewood now at times. And we were told that years ago, the road would last 10 plus years. With today's economy, or heat and climate and everything else, those roads don't last anymore. Not like they used to.
We need to add to climate adaptation.
Thank you, Your Worship, for your indulgence. I forgot one important thing, very small thing. On Sunday morning, and this is more directed to our work commission, so I'm gonna turn my head. On Sunday morning, Councillor Bellmans and myself took a drive and saw exactly where the proposed work for 2028 is. And it's basically from the entrance of the town to the Veterans Peace Center, essentially. Then we drove the rest of River Valley Drive, and there's just one little portion, 0.2 of a kilometer past the Veterans Peace Park, and it ends somewhere around Pioneer, and sort of the sign was got, I don't know whether it was street or lane or crescent, that is not in the best shape. And I'm of the opinion, if sufficient funds could be found to do that portion as well, that stretch of road from the beginning of town on the southern end all the way to the middle school and Starkey's, which is where the majority of our traffic in Bay-Westfield drive would be drivable and would be one steady stretch of smooth lane. So please drive that 0.2 kilometers.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for a motion to change the dollars or anything like that. Thank you.
No other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion is carried. Thank you, council. Now we can move on to number 12, which is bills for payment. And we get a motion before we have questions. And the motion is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield authorize the September 22nd, 2025 bills for payment as presented in the amount of $288,946.49. Is that a motion? Yeah, second by Councilor McCaffrey. So any questions or comments? Easy one then. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you all very much again. So number 13, consent agenda. There's nothing on the consent agenda, which is something that's ever happened before. So we'll move on to number 14, council report. So I'll go, which direction should I? I'll start, council.
On September 9th, I virtually attended another UMMB AGM Planning Committee meeting, which is coming up 1st of October. September 10th, we had our monthly community vitality committee meeting where we're actively planning our fall fest. So stay tuned for that info. And September 15th, we had a special council meeting and we heard from local businesses and groups. And lastly, on Friday, September 19th, I attended an RCMP fundraiser for local kids.
Thank you, Your Worship. September 15th, I also attended the special council meeting. It was nice to hear from the various groups seeking funding exactly what they would do with it, and they were all well prepared. September 16th, I had a Harbour Station Commission Teams meeting remotely. And on last Friday, September 19th, I also participated in the RCMP organized fundraiser held here at Grand Bay-Westfield.
I was here for the September 15th meeting. And I attended the Age Friendly meeting. I'd like to remind members of our community that deal and work with fibers, that Fiberfest is back. And we are meeting upstairs here in this building because of the market still functioning. And so that's 6:30 to 8:30. So if you want to learn crocheting, knitting, wool applique, all kinds of things with fiber, please join us. We had a new lady come last week who is going to be back next week. And we've had a huge 2 garbage bags of rug wool donated by a member of our community. The other thing we're going to be doing is a basket weaving workshop. And yes, it went out in information on Age Friendly. We're going to send it out in other forms because people haven't signed up for the letters or the Age Friendly newsletter. But the fee for the basket weaving course is $159, $100 for the registration fee and $59 for the kit. It's at the Brundage Point River Center, October the 25th, from 10 to 3. And what you bring is your lunch, your snacks, your drinks, a dozen sturdy clothespins, a small rag, and a towel. And you can send an email to Savoy Baskets at gmail.com. My computer died, so I apologize trying to read this on here. And she can provide you with more information. We need 6 people to make this go ahead, and so far we just have 1. So if you've always wanted to learn how to weave baskets, this is your chance. And she's never been down to the southern part of the province before, so this is a good opportunity for us.
They attended the council meeting, September 15th also, special meeting, that's all it is.
Thank you. September 10th, I attended the community vitality meeting where we discussed fall fest and preparations for that. Also, September 15th, as well as the other councillors here, a special meeting where we listen to the community groups and the work they do and listen to their ask where we could possibly help. And that's all for me.
And my end, I had the September 15th meeting as well, and I also had the pleasure last week of attending the United Way campaign launch for 2025-2026, which was great, where the campaign chair introduced themselves and they reminded us the importance of what the United Way does for all communities, including ours. So that was a privilege. That was it for me. So that's it for council reports. So number 15 is business arising from committee of the whole. There being none, we can move on to item 16, adjournment. And the motion is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield adjourn the meeting at 7:57 p.m. Have a motion? Council Griffin, second. All in favor? Motion. Meeting's adjourned.